The Arizona Coyotes are going to be seeing some familiar faces tonight as they look to keep their point streak going against the Vancouver Canucks. I'm going to break that down to you for you on today's episode of Locked On Coyotes.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Locked On Coyotes. I am your host, Carl Pavlock. I want to thank you for making Locked On Coyotes your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. As I said, I'm your host, Carl Pavlock. Just going to be me for today. Wanted to talk about this upcoming game versus the Vancouver Canucks because, I don't think anyone expected either of these teams to be where they are now after the trade deadline. The Arizona Coyotes traded away a bunch of players, a bunch of key players, Jacob Chychrun, Shane Gostisbehere, even Nick Bjugstad, I think played a very pivotal role. They're also missing Nick Mullett, who is currently day-to-day with a lower body injury. Like, those are supposed to be hurdles. Those are supposed to be things that slow down a team. But the Coyotes are looking great. They've responded extremely well. And I think it really does go to show you that, when we talk about tanking, it's not the players who tank. We say this a lot, but it is not the players. It's not the coaches. They're playing for their jobs. They don't want to give up their position to a younger player. A guy like Clayton Keller wants the team to be better, but he also is a competitor. He wants to go out there and just make everything happen. It's at the general manager level where we see tanking happen, where we see trading away the best players, acquiring veterans who are kind of over the hill, who aren't going to contribute as much as they used to. That's what we see. And the Coyotes have really flipped the script. Canucks too. I'll talk about that a little bit in the second segment. But first, I do want to talk about the Coyotes because they are coming into tonight's game hot. They beat the Calgary Flames 4-3 in overtime. Travis Boyd had the overtime game winner. Matias Maccelli recorded a goal, his sixth of the season. Big story, though, was Clayton Keller, who had 2 goals on the game. They gave him his 30th and 31st goal of the season, which is absolutely phenomenal. I want to do a full episode, another episode about Clayton Keller with Robin when she gets back, because I realized we just did one, but it absolutely needs to be said how monumental Keller has been this season. He is playing his best hockey. He is finding a groove with a young center in Barrett Hayton. He looks like the real deal. He currently has 71 points in 68 games. Over a point per game. You love to see it. He's the first Coyotes 30-plus goal scorer since Radim Vrbata in the 2011-2012 season. He's the first 70-point scorer since Ray Whitney in that same season. And the fact that it has been over a decade since we have had a player like Clayton Keller on the Coyotes, it just goes to show how good a pick he was, how special he is, how important to this rebuild he is, because he's only 24 years old. He is going to continue to do this, hopefully for the foreseeable future, knock on wood. It is just absolutely phenomenal to see his development and to see a bright spot on the Coyotes. We're not even having to look up Dylan Guenther highlights. If you're a Coyotes fan looking for some kind of good news, you can pull up a Clayton Keller highlight, and that is just a step in the right direction for the entire organization. just market the team around Keller from here forward. But, like I said, it wasn't just him. Travis Boyd has been playing really good since being separated from Keller. I thought that he would kind of fall apart, drift away. That's not the case. He continues to generate offense. He's not, the guy for the Coyotes, but he has 12 goals, 15 assists in 68 games. Respectable for a player like Boyd, who I don't think anyone was really anticipating being a major signing with the Coyotes, but he has been. And then Matias Maccelli with the other goal, his 6th of the season. He now ties Lawson Krause with 37 points. That line has been just absolutely phenomenal. I love the Maccelli, Krause, McBain line. I think it's, a good physical line. You got big players in Krause and McBain, but you also have that skill in Maccelli. I am not sure what Maccelli's ceiling is going to be. I don't know what his role is going to be in the future of the Coyotes, but he is making an extremely strong case for being just a phenomenal playmaker. I would love to see him score more goals. Like I said, he only has 6 on the season, but if he continues to just generate offense like he has, I don't need him to score goals. Someone else can score goals. And then just one other player that I do want to mention, because, I'm not sure he necessarily is getting enough attention. That is Juuso Välimäki, who had 2 assists in the game, secondary assist on the first Keller goal, primary assist on the Boyd goal, I believe. So just absolute great game from him. He has 4 assists in his last 2 games. He was a waiver pickup by the Coyotes. I'm trying to remember when there has been a more successful waiver pickup that's not a goaltender. Because I think Scott Wedgwood makes a strong case for that. But I don't know. Välimäki has been just phenomenal. He definitely kind of takes a little bit of the sting away from the fact that the team had to trade Connor Timmins. The blue line, doesn't look as sure as I would like right now, but Välimäki is doing good. I think, the Flames absolutely regret letting him go for nothing, especially getting 2 points on him, which you always love to see a player kind of take it to a team that he felt didn't respect him enough, didn't have enough faith in him, or just couldn't make it work. Anyways, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. Going to go into the Vancouver perspective a little bit. But first, we do have a quick message from our sponsors. Now, it's the midway point through the NBA season, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet for up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. You can download the FanDuel Sports app. It's safe, it's secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores and threes drained. We have an upcoming game, Coyotes and Canucks, and I'm going to be talking about what I think the score is going to be, but if you're curious, definitely something to look at when you're placing your bets. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official betting partner of the NBA. And we're back. Carl Pavlock, Locked On Coyotes, talking about tonight's game. First thing first, I do want to say that the Vancouver Canucks look like they're going to be without Oliver Ekman-Larsson. It's always a shame. Oliver Ekman-Larsson was my favorite player on the team before he was traded. I only wish him the best. I would love to see him revitalize his career in Vancouver, move into kind of a veteran role. His contract is ridiculous, but he dealt with so much with the Coyotes. It made sense for them to overpay him. You don't like to see teams kind of reward loyalty from a cap perspective because it can screw you over in the future. But from like a human perspective, I was like, yeah, give him the extra money. But he's not there. We are going to see former head coach Rick Tocchet and former Coyote Connor Garland. He is with the Canucks. I saw leading up to the trade deadline, there was some talk that he would go. He did not. The Canucks actually had a pretty quiet deadline, all things considered. They kept quite a few of their big pieces. I'm not sure if that's the right call, but I'm not running the team. Garland comes into tonight's game. He had 2 points, 2 assists on the 14th against the Dallas Stars, and an assist on the 11th. Even with another team, Connor Garland is helping the Coyotes by beating the Ottawa Senators. This season, in 65 games, he has 37 points. Not good. Not good at all. To put that in perspective, his last season in Arizona, in 49 games, he had 12 goals and 27 assists. He's not necessarily in a great spot, but hopefully he finishes strong. Maybe he can get himself traded to a contender in the off season or at the deadline. Who knows? I don't know what Vancouver's doing. I don't think they know what they're doing. But they're doing something right because like the Coyotes, they've been pretty hot lately. They have won their last 5 games. Unlike the Coyotes, who are on a point streak, the Vancouver Canucks are on a bona fide win streak. They beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-1 after the deadline, beat the Nashville Predators 4-3 in the shootout, Anaheim Ducks 3-2 in overtime. See, giving points to teams below. Canucks are helping out the Coyotes a lot. Then a 5-2 win over the Ottawa Senators past Saturday. And most recently, on Tuesday, 5-2 versus the Dallas Stars. That's impressive. Like, beating the Maple Leafs, beating the Dallas Stars, like, holding them to 1 goal, holding them to 2 goals. That is not what I would have expected from the Vancouver Canucks. Like, at this point in the year, I kind of would have thought it'd be, them limping to the finish line. But they are finishing strong. I'm not sure if it's the coach. I'm not sure if Tocchet coming in has kind of revitalized the team, making them play harder. They're adjusting to a system. Maybe it's, the fact that they are playing differently. Like, all the scouting reports on the Vancouver Canucks, toss them in the garbage because they're not necessarily true anymore. Different style. We know Tocchet plays, he coaches his team to play. And yeah, maybe it's all kind of working out for him. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this one goes because I don't think either of these teams are particularly good. I don't think the Canucks. I saw a quote that they're aiming to make the playoffs next season, and that just kind of astonishes me. I don't think they're anywhere close to that. The Coyotes certainly aren't good, but they're finding ways to win. And that always makes for an entertaining match. Like, 2 teams who are just kind of giving it their all. But I am going to talk a little bit more about what I think about this match. But first, quick word from our sponsors. And we're back. Carl Pavlock, Locked On Coyotes, discussing tonight's game against the Vancouver Canucks. Now, this is the time where we look at give some betting advice. And I always look at this because I don't do a lot of betting myself, just kind of where I think the game is going to be. And then you can make your decision off of that. Like, you can pull up FanDuel, you can get the money line, you can get the over-under, do all that stuff, and then just kind of take my advice for what it's worth. The advice of someone who watches a lot of Coyotes games, who subjects himself to a lot of Coyotes games. Even now when they're doing good, still, it's just a pit of anxiety sometimes. But for this one, here's my thought process. Coyotes doing pretty well offensively lately. Vancouver Canucks doing pretty well offensively too. So I do think that this is going to be a relatively high-scoring game. I am seeing this one as a 5-3 Vancouver Canucks win. I think that the Coyotes are doing good. I think that Clayton Keller is playing amazing. I can see him getting on the board. I do kind of, Keller is a great player. I love Clayton Keller. I don't know how long he can carry this team on his back. I think eventually he's going to get shut down. And if you are the Vancouver Canucks, you have to be looking, all right, shut down the Keller line and then see what we can do about the Krause, Michelli, McBain line. And once you have that as your focus, I think you can it's just a matter of execution. I do think that we are going to see, a rare night for whoever's in net. I'm not sure. Last game was Ingram, so if I had to guess, it's going to be Vejmelka. But whoever's in net, both goaltenders have been pretty solid. I think we're going to get not as great of a game this time. Although, I must say, Connor Ingram let in 3, still had a .933 save percentage because, boy, the Calgary Flames threw a lot of rubber at him. I think the shots are going to be a little bit lower, but I think the goals are going to be a little bit worse, if that makes sense. I don't think that this is going to be, a team going all out against the Coyotes and doubling up on shots. I think the Vancouver Canucks are going to have a healthy lead in the shots on goal, but I don't think it's going to be like the Calgary Flames. But I do really, looking at the Canucks roster, I gotta respect it. I gotta respect Pettersson up there with 83 points already on the Vancouver Canucks. That is insane. They still have JT Miller, 62 points, and Quinn Hughes, 61. Kuzmenko has 33 goals and is not top 3 in points. That is just astonishing to me. I look at this roster and I'm like, I don't see them as a playoff contender anytime soon, but I think they could beat the Coyotes, which is a low bar, admittedly. But as we've seen, not one that every team can cross. So that's what I'm going to say. Vancouver Canucks with, what did I say, 5-3 win. Is that going to be close? Who knows? Will I be disappointed if the Coyotes give up 5? Yeah, probably. But I also wouldn't be surprised by that result. I am not the type of person who wants the team to lose. A, I try to be somewhat objective, but B, I know that my wants do not influence what is going to happen. So I just want, to watch a good game. That is my goal. And I can imagine this one being not a good game, but an exciting one, an entertaining game. And if you can't get a good game, get an entertaining game. That's, halfway there. Cut this one a little bit short just because it is just me talking about this game. If you want more, I did write a preview for this on 5 for Howling, where I am the managing editor. And as we prepare for our launch, you can check that out. Just go to 5forhowling.com. It's going to be the top article. Should be up by the time you're listening to this. And I do want to thank you for making Locked On Coyotes your first listen today. Now for your second listen, check out Game to Game NHL. Every moment, every top performance, every result, Locked On Game to Game covers every game from across the NHL with local analysis that only Locked On can deliver. Follow Game to Game on Locked On NHL, available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can, of course, follow the podcast LO_Coyotes on Twitter, also on Instagram. Follow me personally. Best place, the 5 for Howling app. Word 5, number 4, word howling. That is where I post just mostly hockey content and, retweets of Keller. Logan Cooley just named a Hobie Baker finalist. Hopefully we're going to have a conversation about that very soon. So stay tuned for all of that. Otherwise, I do want to say I hope you're staying safe out there. Hope you're staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.